What's up guys, it's James Allen, the out-of-state investor, and today I'm starting a new mini-series where I'm going to be posting a new video every Friday on how to buy a rental property. I'll take you through every step of the process so that you can feel comfortable to go out there and buy one of your own. Today's focus is going to be on getting started in just 4 steps, because without getting all your ducks in a row ahead of time, it's going to be a lot harder to make offers, analyze deals, acquire financing, and realtors aren't going to take you seriously. So these 4 steps are going to put you in a position to buy rental property, start getting that passive income going into your bank account while still growing your overall net worth. Over the last few years, I've made it my mission to understand exactly how I can set myself up to be successful in real estate, and I've learned that one thing that's essential to understand is your financial position and what lenders look at so that you can put yourself in the best possible position when you're buying real estate. With that said, if you haven't already done so, please go ahead and smash that like button to show support and click the subscribe button below to get updates of new videos like this when they get added to the channel. All right, let's get into it. Step 1, have solid cash reserves. When you buy a rental property, there are 2 ways to go. Number 1, owner occupied, which means that you will be living in the property like a duplex, living in one side and renting out the other. Or number 2, an absentee owner, which means that you will not be living in the property at all. The option you end up choosing will ultimately determine the amount of cash reserves that you need when you're buying a rental property. When purchasing as an absentee owner, most lenders are going to require a 20% down payment for a single family house and 25% for a small multifamily, or in other words, a 2 to 4 unit building. For instance, if you are looking to buy a duplex for $200,000 and you choose not to live in the units, then you will need to put down a 25% down payment of the purchase price, which in this case would be $50,000. However, if you choose to live in one of the units and you rent out the other, you can do this with a down payment of only 3.5% of the purchase price, which means that you could own $200,000 of real estate for just a $7,000 down payment. Closing costs are going to be your next biggest expense when buying a rental property. I typically budget 3 to 4% of the purchase price for my closing costs. And on a $200,000 purchase with a loan, I'm expecting to pay about $6,000 to $8,000 in closing costs. This can vary depending on the lender that you use. Closing costs will include things like the loan origination fee, title and appraisal fees, taxes, and prepaids, which is basically 12 months upfront of your insurance and property tax payments. Your closing costs can be cheaper though if you're balling out and purchasing all cash, and when you do that, your closing costs can actually come down to be more like $1,500. Now, aside from closing costs, you're going to want to budget for an inspection. Your inspection is going to vary depending on the property type and size, and what I found in my experience is you're going to be looking somewhere between $250 to $500 for that. So for this example, let's assume that you're not living in your rental property, and when you add up all your expenses on a $200,000 purchase, you would need at least $56,500 to close versus around $15,000 to $17,000 if you chose to live in the property. With that said, whatever you do, don't leverage yourself so much that you literally drain your accounts just to close on the property. I highly recommend having extra reserves after closing on your rental property, and most likely the lenders are going to require it anyways. Now let's assume for now that no repairs were needed when you closed on your property. I always aim to have at least $10,000 in reserves for every single family and $5,000 for every unit if it's a multifamily. I do this in case of big expenditures like the roof, HVAC, or even smaller things like the water heater. Basically anything that could come up and be a pretty big expense. In addition to that, you need to be prepared for any type of vacancy and maintenance. This is why cash reserves are a must, or you could lose your rental property just as fast as you get it. Step number 2, raise that credit score. Credit scores are very important if you're looking for bank financing. When purchasing with a conventional loan, your interest rate and closing costs can vary greatly depending on your credit score. So it's important to set yourself up for success by fixing your credit score early on. Your goal with your credit score should be to get it to that 740 plus area. This will give you the best available rates. Now, as you start going down from the 740 mark, you will get penalized, unfortunately, by the lender for every tier that you go down. The next tier down would be a score of 720 to 739. Then 700 to 719, and so on. If you get too low around the low 600 area, you may not even qualify at all, and the bank won't lend you any money. Credit scores can play a huge role in making or breaking your rental property, so don't shoot yourself in the foot before you even get started. So what's been the hardest thing for you so far when it comes to getting started in real estate? Let me know in the comments below. Step number 3, fix your DTI. Having a good DTI or debt to income is exactly what it sounds like. It's basically matching up your income against your regular expenses to determine how much you can afford in a mortgage payment. And when I say regular expenses, I mean things that typically show on your credit report or regular fixed expenses such as car payments, mortgage payments, rent payments, any credit card monthly debt you have, school loans, and things like that. But to be clear, it does not include expenses like food, shopping, shows and concerts, and other things like that. Typically, lenders don't like to see more than 43% DTI, but they will sometimes go up to 50% with certain exceptions. If you had a limit of 43% DTI and your income was $10,000 a month, that would mean that you would need to have expenses that equal less than $4,300 a month with the new mortgage. But with that said, there are some savvy ways to help you qualify for more expensive property, which brings us to our next step. Step number 4. Get an investor-friendly lender. Not all lenders are created equal. Some don't understand all the rules and might tell you that you won't qualify for a mortgage when another lender who understands the rules may actually say that you qualify. One thing lenders can do if you're buying a rental property is they can add the income towards qualifying you as a borrower. In other words, let's say you had $4,500 of monthly expenses on a $10,000 monthly income. Even with the limit of a 50% DTI, you're going to be maxed out if you add that new $1,000 mortgage on top of that. And some lenders may say you won't qualify. However, the right lender may be aware that you can count 75% of market rents towards qualifying you. So if the market rent in this example was determined to be $2,000, or you have tenants already paying that amount, then you could count 75% of that towards your income. This means that although you're adding $1,000 of debt with that new mortgage payment, you're also adding $1,500 of income. So now you would show $11,500 of total income and $5,500 of debt, giving you a DTI of 47.8% and qualifying you to make that purchase. This shows the power of having an investor-friendly lender on your team and how they can help you to not only buy a rental property, but also help you qualify to keep purchasing them as you scale. Either way, once you nail these 4 steps, I highly recommend going over everything with your investor-friendly lender to make sure you're in the clear rather than just assuming. It is possible to get pre-approved for a mortgage, only to get to the underwriting stage to find out they won't lend to you after all. Don't let this be you. Think ahead of the game, plan ahead, and you'll be successful. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Keep an eye out for the next videos in this series on how to buy a rental property. If you did enjoy watching this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you haven't already done so. Also, if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, just do it. Just hit that subscribe button. I mean, why not? If you have any thoughts about the video though, please give me your feedback and comment down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And lastly, if you're staying up to date with things with me, then you've got to be on my Instagram page @TheOutOfStateInvestor. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.